Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome back into the AM show. Judea Hartley here. All right, folks, we are in for such a treat. Of course, at the top of the show, we teased an incredible guest. And guess what, everybody? Tito Puente Jr. is here with us, joining via Zoom. He is a band leader, a percussionist, a music producer, a songwriter. You guys, he comes from Latin royalty, and I cannot wait to sit with him and chat all about his journey and the passion projects that he has coming up, the inspiration behind some of his song-making hits. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Everybody show your love for the one, the only Tito Puente Jr.
What an intro, my God. I need a cowbell.
I'm sorry?
I need a cowbell. That was great intro.
Oh, thank you so much. Welcome to the show, Tito. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know that you are so busy doing so many incredible things, and I am just so honored and grateful that you carved out time for your busy schedule to join us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's great to be part of your program, and I'm here celebrating the life and legacy of my late father, El Tito Puente.
I love it. I love your energy. So, Tito, I really want to get right into the meat of the sandwich. Of course, you make Latin and salsa music, which I love. I've scrubbed your social media and listened to some of your songs. But as talented as you are, it actually started, right, this whole music movement in the Latin culture, for you guys, of course, at least, it started with your father. I want you to talk to us a little bit about some of the memories that you still have, right, that you can recall as a child. And I just want to know, was there always music going on in your house? Tell us all about that childhood journey.
It was an incredible journey being the son of Latin legend Tito Puente. Was an incredible experience for me. I'm so happy that at the age of 53, I've embraced his music. The new generation is learning about his music now. I think that's really important. And it was an incredible experience being around the world, celebrating Afro-Cuban music around the planet and celebrating his life and his legacy, and seeing all the great fans, the mambo dancers from around the planet. I traveled, I think, every continent except for Antarctica with my father. And that's something really special. I would love to write a book maybe one day on my journeys with him. It was a really an experience that I will never forget, hold true to my heart. And when I travel to these countries where I went with him, I see that the fans are still there. They're just a little bit older now, but they teach their younger generation about who Tito Puente was and the historical, meaningful musicianship and his legacy, what he left on this planet. He passed away 24 years ago, but we celebrate his life and his legacy every single day when we hear and play his music. So it was a really wonderful experience growing up in New York and being the son of an icon like that.
Wow. I love that you're still giving him his flowers even to this day. Now, I want to get into that a little deeper because he certainly is an icon in the Latin culture and the Latin music culture, that is. Do you remember going on tour with your father? And if so, what was your favorite trip? What did you do there? What was your favorite trip? What do you remember most about that particular location? Because I know that he toured a lot.
Yes. Notwithstanding that he probably been to over 200 countries and he performed 300 concerts a year for about maybe 15 years straight. And he had a 5-decade career. 7-time Grammy Award winner, 14 nominations, and the list goes on and on of the accolades that Tito Puente received throughout his 6-decade career. But traveling with him was an experience that I'll never ever forget. And going to those countries that I mentioned before, where they didn't know the language of English, nor did they know Spanish as well. So that was over in the Far East, and to China and to Japan, Indonesia, those countries that they didn't know the language, but they understood the language of Afro Afro-Cuban and Latin music. And those are the places that I continue yearning to bring his music to, and to teach the newer generation about that, simply because through the technology of YouTube and of course the internet and the social media, we can connect with those people around the world, and that can teach them more about Afro-Cuban music and the history of Tito Puente. But to travel to those places and experience the culture, if you will, and bringing our Latin roots culture from the streets of El Barrio, New York, and Spanish Harlem, New York, from the island of Puerto Rico and the island of Cuba and the continent of Africa, bringing all that and culminating it to a place where nobody understands the language or the actual culture of what we do. It's nice to see that they embrace it, and those are the countries that I continue to go to. And we'll be heading back over to the Far East. We're doing a whole tour of Japan next summer in 2025, and to bring that mambo music to them. And they love the culture. They love the dance music. This is a little bit of video you're watching from another continent we love performing at, and that's Australia. So hello to my friends down under. They're such a fantastic cultural and multicultural country where they really embrace Latin and jazz music more than they do so in the States. But it's nice to see that around the world they really appreciate Tito Puente music long after his passing.
I love it. I love it. I just, as I was watching the videos and just hearing a little bit more about your father's history and your memories that you have with him, you can really feel the energy. I can feel your energy through the screen. I can tell, Tito, that music and culture was super, super imperative in terms of your upbringing, shaping your perspectives on life, your community, connecting with your various audiences as you tour. You can feel that without music, there will be no culture, and without culture there will be no music. And even listening to some of the songs that you and your father have produced and have really just published, you can actually hear the stories of your upbringing, right? Like, I love when people incorporate their upbringing and their childhood, and even in the environment, the neighborhood in which they grew up with. Yeah, they incorporate all of those elements into their music, and that's exactly what you've done. I'm curious, for anyone who may also be curious, how would you best define Afro-Cuban music? Because I love that terminology, and of course I love the sound of it, but how would you best classify and describe that?
Well, people call it today salsa music. And I tell everybody, salsa is what you put your chips in at the restaurant. And salsa is what you eat with spaghetti. But the term Afro-Cuban music is what salsa really is. Prior to it being called salsa in the 1970s, this was considered Afro-Cuban music. Guanguancó, somontuno, rumba, the cha-cha-cha, and mambo music. That's what Tito Puente and a lot of his other peers were playing in the 1940s and 50s. My father was probably the only Puerto Rican band leader, born and raised in Spanish Harlem, New York City, who actually promoted and pushed Afro-Cuban music around the world to the masses. And he did that with the pride of being from New York City, from the 5 boroughs of Manhattan, from Brooklyn and Queens and Staten Island and the Bronx and Spanish Harlem and Manhattan. And he would appreciate his roots, his culture, and he would take a little bit from each island, the Dominican Republic, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and of course the South American countries of Colombia and Venezuela and all those beautiful places. And he would take that and he would hold that flag high as the international ambassador of Latin music. But he always kept his roots to New York. He always kept that big band mambo swing sound. Tito Puente was an actual jazz drummer first before he played Afro-Cuban music. And he loved it with the strength of bringing two worlds together, jazz and Latin music, and creating that sound of Latin jazz with the likes of John Coltrane and Dizzy Gillespie. And he incorporated Duke Ellington and Count Basie sounds into his music. And that's what really gave the essence of Tito Puente. And that's why he was always internationally known throughout the Black community, throughout the Hispanic community, throughout the whole international music world. And they really respected him in a high regard for bringing cultures and people together in one purpose, and that's to dance mambo music, Afro-Cuban music.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It just really reminds me, it really reminds me how music, Tito, is that universal language, almost like that universal connectivity factor where it doesn't matter what race, religion, color, size, height you are. It's this, oh, it's like his music served as this bridge in terms of bringing folks together despite their upbringing or despite their ethnicity, despite where they live. I love that. Of course, I am going to get into the fantastic work that you are doing. I looked you up. I'm going to get all into that. But I do want to get your perspectives right before this quick commercial break. I want to get your perspective on your father's album. So I know that he released In My Father's Shoes, and he also released Got Mambo. And I just want you to really tell us about your love for the album. Did you have a favorite song? Or maybe you know the inspo behind both bodies of work?
These two albums that I released were tributes to my father, Tito Puente, and I put them out during the past 24 years. Now, I have to catch up with my dad because Tito Puente, my father, put out over 186 albums to his credit. So that has to be possibly a world record for any Latin artist in that category, or just that magnitude of his catalog. So that's really something special. These three albums that I put out, Got Mambo, In My Father's Shoes, and The King and I, that I put out in the past a year and a half or so, these records really reflect on the original arrangements and compositions that Tito Puente released with those great hits like Ran Can Can and Oye Como Va. We really shined a light and tributed him the proper way that a son can only give to a dad.
Oh my goodness. I love that. Do you ever feel the pressure to fill your father's shoes or to live up to everyone's expectations because he was such a prominent musical icon in the Latin world?
I grew up being from New York, and I kind of liked rock music, hip hop. That was very diverse into freestyle and dance music. So I liked everything. So my palette was very, very different when I had the iPod, and I had a different eclectic taste in music, in which I incorporated that into the Afro-Cuban sound. My father was a staple in Latin and jazz music. Yes, I would say when I was younger, it was intimidating. But as I grew older, my father embraced me into learning more about Afro-Cuban music. And then, of course, when he passed away, I wanted to maybe not consider it passing the torch, but I wanted to keep his name alive. And I tried to teach my son, Tito Puente Jr. the third, a little bit about not to take that nepotism thing too much to heart. We appreciate who we are, and we have to respect the legacy that his grandfather and my father left. And that's what I continue to do. I'm pretty proud of being Tito Puente's son, and I'm proud that I explore and display his music for all the fans to enjoy. I really embrace that.
I love that. I love that so much. If your son wanted to follow in your footsteps, would you allow him?
Yes, I would do. I would do exactly what my father did to me. The way that I learned how to play drums is back in the 1980s when I was growing up. I had a garage full of drums, and my father said, "Don't touch any of my drums in the garage." And what do you do as a kid at 10 years old? You go in the garage and you slam on the drums. And that's how I got into music. But he did not teach me how to play drums. I had to get lessons. So hopefully my son, who's now turning 16, he'll ask for some drum lessons and maybe continue his father's legacy. But I back him up in any endeavor that he sees in his future.
I love it. I love the passion. I love the work that you're doing. I love that you are giving your father his flowers constantly, and you're living out your dream as well, touring and all of these wonderful things that you have going on. We're going to get into that, Tito, during the second half of our interview. Everyone, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't you go anywhere because we have so much more magic coming up with Tito after these messages. Stay tuned. It's the AM Show. Yes, everybody, welcome back into the AM show. Up on the screen here, you can see our very special guest, Mr. Tito Puente Jr. himself, the icon, the musician, the producer, the percussionist, so many other things, incredible stage presence. Tito, welcome back to the show. Well, I want to get right into your jazz ensemble. So I was looking on your Instagram, and you have this jazz ensemble that you present, this Latin ensemble rather, that you present. Tell me a little bit about that. Is that reoccurring or is it a one-time thing? And what actually goes on during this ensemble?
I have two configurations of when I present my father's music. My dad was very much into jazz music, and in order for people to kind of understand the jazz world, I have a Latin jazz ensemble, which is like a 7-piece group where I have the congas, timbales, and bongos. And I get more into the roots of jazz and Latin music and Latin jazz. And whereas the other band that I have is a 13-piece orchestra where I present the mambo sound of the 1940s and 50s, the big band swing music of the Tito Puente era. So the Latin jazz ensemble I love to perform with because it gives a more intimate feeling, and I kind of talk in between songs and teach. And the whole idea of coming to one of my concerts and seeing one of my presentations is to inspire. I want to inspire everybody about Tito Puente. And maybe if you are a young and up-and-coming talent, be inspired by his music, the arrangements, the compositions, and of course the history, the rich history of his ambassadorship in bringing people together and bringing people from around the world to dance to mambo music. And a lot of the places that I do perform at, they consist of dance floors. So the orchestra, I love to perform in a performing arts center, whereas the Latin jazz ensemble, I need a dance floor in front of me so people can get down, you know?
I love it. I love it. I can feel like the energy, like in those videos where you're up there and you're hitting those drums and folks are dancing and feeling the groove. I love that. Now, you have your hands in so many things. You also presented Conclave. Am I right? I want to know a little bit about what Conclave is.
I love how you said that, conclave. It said conclave. I love you, baby. Don't worry. I love that conclave.
Okay, I have to get my accent together. Okay, conclave.
That's it, baby. You got it.
Conclave. Okay.
Conclave. Right.
Conclave.
I have a radio show. It's called Conclave with Tito Puente Jr. It airs on power787radio.com each and every Sunday. And I play the best of Latin and jazz music. And of course, the music of Tito Puente. We do a lot of exclusives. And Conclave means with clave rhythm. The clave rhythm is the metronome of salsa music and Hispanic music. It's kind of real easy. It goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And that's really our metronome in salsa music for people to do the dance steps. So that's why we call it Conclave with myself, Tito Puente Jr. Each and every Sunday on Power 787 Radio, worldwide at power787radio.com. Check it out 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I dabble in that. I got a radio show. I also got some hot sauce I put out too.
Yeah, we're going to, hold on. I want to, let me segue. I have that. Wait, so you also have hot sauce. I saw it. I'm like, oh my goodness, what doesn't this man do? So tell me about how'd you come up with your own ingredients to create your hot sauce? Where did that idea come from?
That idea came from, I got to give, of course, love and respect to my wife from Brooklyn, New York, Bushwick, Brooklyn. Shouts out to Bushwick. My wife, Rosalie, she came up with the idea. She said, you put out a lot of music, and I think the fans want something else, maybe something to eat. And we always say salsa is good to listen to, but it's also good with your meals. So I have 4 different hot sauces. I have pineapple, mango, maple syrup, tamarindo, and of course, guava. They're 4 different flavors. They're great for Christmas time, the holidays. I sell a lot of stuff online. I'm trying to get it into supermarkets. It's a Tito Puente Jr. salsa, and it's got hot habanero peppers in them, and it's really good with soups, beef, chicken, pork, steak, potatoes. And
Wow.
it's really cool stuff, and you can get it at Tito Puente Jr. HOT.com, and I sell it in a bundle. And I wanted to give people not just one flavor, but I wanted to give them 4 different ones so they can actually experience the different sounds. So when you listen to a Tito Puente or Tito Puente Jr. album, you're getting fast mambos and then cha-chas and then rumbas and then maybe a little bit of ballads. So I thought the same way with your palate, you can have something really exciting, with your meal, and then really flavorful, and then also some subtle flavors into your salads or soups. So I wanted to do that with the flavors of the different sauces I have. But check them out, Tito Puente Jr. Hot.com.
Oh my goodness. I love that. I love that idea. So you do so many things and you do them so well, because so many people, they really do. I don't believe in it, but they really do believe in quantity over quality. And I don't. I believe in quality over quantity, but you have both.
Yes.
You have quality in your quantity because you're doing so many incredible things. I'm so impressed with that. Now, I also was looking on your Instagram and I saw that you almost spearheaded this musical event entitled Spanglish. I want you to tell us a little bit about that.
I always feel that the Latin culture and the American culture combined together, and the Hispanic community, of course, is one of the most fastest growing minorities in the United States. And it's something from the heart. We have the Spanglish magazine. We also have the Conclave with Tito Puente Jr. I try to dabble in different entrepreneurship and try to inspire others, because you guys can do it too. We have many different platforms now where we can inspire other young kids or young talented kids, to inspire them with music and inspire them with language. There's no more of that. There's no more. The world is much smaller now through the internet, and I encourage everybody, that likes to listen to music or eat food or be inspired by sports figures, action stars, actors, actresses, especially musicianships, anything like that. Follow me on my Instagram. I do so many different things. I dabble in a lot of different things, and one of the main things I really like to do is help out kids that are in need, of musical instruments. And I think that's what's missing in a lot of the schools now, is that entrepreneurship of having music teachers. And in conservatories of music, and colleges and universities, and even high schools, they need a lot more music programs. So I'm trying to spearhead that along with the Latin Grammys and trying to get music cares for kids. I'm on the board of directors there. I also work with the International Salsa Museum out of the Bronx, New York, where we're going to have a big, huge place where we can store and archive a lot of our Latin greats, like the memorabilia of Celia Cruz, the memorabilia of the Fania All-Stars, the memorabilia, of course, of our Latin stars that we have now, like Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, Ricky Martin. So we want a place where we could call home, where we could really celebrate our culture, our Hispanic heritage, and that Spanglish is part of that. So I'm dabbling in so many things, and I forget sometimes that I got to keep up with performing the name and keeping the brand Tito Puente alive. But I look forward to seeing what 2025 brings. We have so many great things. And by the way, I wanted to lastly mention that we are doing a documentary series on the life and legacy of my father, and that will be out midsummer. The trailer comes out this May 31st, which will be the 25th anniversary of his passing.
Wow.
So May 31st, you'll see the brand new trailer for a documentary on Tito Puente's life. And it's real exclusive stuff. So my mom, she was still with us, 82 years young. She archived my father, followed him around with a video camera, if you will, for about 30 years. So you're going to see a lot of Tito Puente at home, and my dad under the Christmas tree at Thanksgiving, cracking jokes, eating cottage cheese, and me and my sister playing tricks on him, and stuff that you don't see on YouTube, or stuff that you don't really recognize about these icons and these legends. You learn a little bit more about their humanistic side. So you'll see that next summer. Very exciting.
Oh my goodness, that's incredible. That is it. Now, will this be in the theaters? Where can folks watch?
Yes, we are first going to release this through I guess this is how they work it. I'm not really that well endowed on knowing on how to release movies in that factor, or documentaries, but I believe that it goes to the Sundance Film Festival, Cannes Film Festival. So it goes to the film festivals first, starting in February and March with the trailer, and then the trailer will be released through April and May, and then it will be probably theatrically released in limited theaters, but it will probably shoot straight to one of the streaming platforms, well, either Netflix, Hulu, Paramount, Max. I'm not too sure which one just yet. There's a bidding war at this point, which is great.
Yeah,
and everybody wants to know the
good.
story. Everybody wants to know the story of Tito Puente, and that's the exciting part.
Oh my goodness, this is incredible. Now, Tito, I only have about 2 to 3 minutes with you. And you mentioned, I can ask you so many more questions about the Sunset Singers, about so many other things, but you mentioned that you're going on tour. Next year, you're going to Japan. Give us the information, spill the details in regards to that, just in case folks want to buy tickets and meet you out there overseas.
Sure. Well, we are doing a Japan run. We'll be doing Osaka, and of course, 3 shows in Tokyo as well. So 2 different cities. And then we'll be going to Nagasaki as well. And then I think we're going up to Sapporo. These are part of the Blue Note concert series. So we're looking forward to performing in those jazz clubs over there. And they really enjoy the Latin music. And that's going to be happening at the end of June next year. But we are heading to Germany and a lot of other European nations during the summer, beginning at the end of May and into June. And of course, I'll be back home for the Great Puerto Rican Day Parade, as I do every year here in New York City, on the second Sunday of June. A lot of tour dates and a lot of beautiful, exciting things to come from the estate of Tito Puente, the brand Tito Puente, and of course, a new album. I need to get back in the studio myself. My fans keep asking for that. And you got to start doing some recording, because I'm doing all this other stuff on behalf of the Puente family and estate, and my father, that I'm forgetting to do my own recording.
Yeah.
So I'm pulling music now. We have a vault over here in northern New Jersey where I'm pulling out music right now. I just went there this morning and I'm very excited. And I'll probably do a volume 2 of The King and I, because I have so much music. My father left 10,000 arrangements and a lot of unreleased material that I choose to actually complete. And I want to make sure that I can complete that for him, so that way he'll know throughout his afterlife that as his son, I wanted to complete his work here on Earth.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic. I admire you. I love the work that you're doing. You guys, of course, you can go to his Instagram. His handle is there oh yeah. The Instagram handle is right below. Let us put our hands together and show our love for the one, the only Tito Puente Jr. Fantastic, flat out fantastic. I would just tell you, just keep on doing what you're doing. And you took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you, when is your next album dropping? Because I know so many of your fans are looking for that hot, fresh music. But kudos to you for taking the liberty, the initiative to really finish your father's incredible work. You are certainly carrying his legacy, and you're carrying it with pride, joy, peace, and quality. So I commend you on that. Tito, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the AM show. I appreciate everything that you shared. Thank you, sir.
Blessings to you. Thank you very much. And muchas gracias, y'all. Gracias.
Yes, I love it. From one New Yorker to the other. I love it. Thank you so much, Tito. Have a fantastic day. We really appreciate you here on the AM show.
Bless you. Have a great day, guys.
Take care. Bye now. Fantastic. He was so good. Fantastic. I love the energy. Y'all be sure to follow him on his Instagram. The handle is right there below so you can keep up with all of the magic. All right, folks, we're going to head on over to a quick commercial break, but don't you go anywhere, because we have so much more of the AM show when we return.